Jesus already told us what to do in the first 24 hours of the tribulation. When the tribulation begins, there won't be time to figure things out. You will be shocked when you find 7 discoveries about the tribulation. Number 1. The moment the tribulation begins. Most people picture the beginning of the tribulation as chaos, explosions, earthquakes, fire from heaven, cities collapsing, governments falling, the kind of cinematic catastrophe that Hollywood has trained us to associate with the end of the world. But the Bible describes something very different. And the difference is what makes the opening hours so dangerous. Because the real threat is not destruction. It's deception. The prophetic event that many scholars identify as the starting point of the tribulation is found in Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. The he is the Antichrist, the man of sin, the lawless one, the beast. And his first act is not war. It's not destruction. It's a covenant, an agreement, a deal confirmed with many, a diplomatic arrangement that establishes the framework for the final 7 years of human history as we know it. The tribulation doesn't begin with a bomb. It begins with a handshake. And that handshake will look like peace. It will look like progress. It will look like the solution the world has been begging for, a resolution to the conflicts in the Middle East, a framework for global cooperation, a political arrangement that promises stability in a world that has been teetering on the edge of collapse. The man who confirms it will be celebrated. He will be praised. He will be trusted. And almost no one will recognize it for what it is. That's the setup. That's why the first 24 hours are so critical. Because the beginning of the tribulation won't feel like the beginning of the tribulation. It will feel like the beginning of peace. And by the time people realize the peace is a lie, the trap has already closed. So if it doesn't start with war, if the opening move is deception, not destruction, what did Jesus say to watch for? And what did he command his followers to do the moment they recognized what was happening? Number 2, Jesus' warning before everything happens. Turn to Matthew chapter 24. Because this is the passage where Jesus lays out the prophetic timeline. And he does it in response to a direct question from his disciples. Matthew 24:3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? The disciples ask 3 questions. When will the temple be destroyed? What will be the sign of your coming? And what marks the end of the age? And Jesus answers all 3 in a discourse that spans the rest of the chapter and into chapters 25. This is not a parable. This is not a metaphor. This is Jesus speaking directly to his followers about the future. And the very first thing he says, before he describes any event, any sign, any judgment, is a command. Matthew 24:4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Take heed. Be on guard. Pay attention. The first words out of Jesus' mouth when his disciples ask about the end of the age are not about earthquakes or wars or famine. They are about deception. Because Jesus knows that the greatest danger in the last days is not violence. It's the lie that comes before the violence, the false peace that precedes the real destruction. The counterfeit Christ, who appears before the real Christ, returns. Matthew 24:5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Many, not a few, not a fringe group. Many will be deceived. Many will follow false leaders. Many will accept the counterfeit because it looks enough like the real thing to pass inspection, especially for people who never studied the original. This is why Jesus' first command is not run or fight or prepare supplies. His first command is, do not be deceived. Because if you are deceived, if you accept the Antichrist's covenant as genuine peace, if you trust the system that promises security in exchange for allegiance, then no amount of physical preparation will save you. The first battle of the tribulation is not fought with weapons. It is fought with discernment. And that battle begins in the first 24 hours. The first 24 hours will feel normal. Jesus described this exact dynamic. He compared the last days to the days of Noah, not because of the violence, but because of the normalcy. Matthew 24:37 through 39. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. They were eating, drinking, getting married, living ordinary lives, and they knew not. They didn't realize what was happening until the flood came, and it was too late. The danger wasn't that life was chaotic. The danger was that life was normal. And the normalcy blinded them to the catastrophe that was already in motion. The tribulation does not begin with visible judgment. It begins with hidden reality. And the people who recognize the hidden reality in the first 24 hours, while everyone else is celebrating the false peace, are the ones who have a chance to respond to what Jesus said next. The real sign comes suddenly. Jesus gives them a specific marker, a moment so unmistakable, so definitionally evil, that anyone who has read the text will recognize it instantly. Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. The abomination of desolation. This is the moment, at the midpoint of the 7-year tribulation, when the Antichrist enters the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem, stops the sacrificial system, and declares himself to be God. Paul describes this in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. This is the moment the deception fully drops. The man who confirmed the covenant of peace now reveals himself as the enemy of God. The leader who promised cooperation now demands worship. The political figure who seemed like a savior is now declaring himself divine. And notice what Jesus says in parentheses, a phrase so important that both Matthew and Mark include it. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Jesus is speaking directly to the reader, to the person who will pick up this text during the tribulation and read these words. He is saying, if you are reading this and you see this event, the desecration of the temple, the Antichrist declaring himself God, understand what it means. Recognize the moment and do exactly what I'm about to tell you. Because the next command Jesus gives is not spiritual, it's tactical. It's physical, and it demands immediate, unthinking, radical obedience. Discovery number 3. Jesus' first command, don't stay. Matthew 24:16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. One verse, 11 words, and it may be the most important survival instruction in the entire Bible. Flee. The Greek word is fugo, and it doesn't mean retreat strategically. It doesn't mean relocate when convenient. It means run for your life. It's the word used for escaping a burning building, for fleeing from a pursuing army, for the desperate, adrenaline-fueled sprint of someone who understands that staying means death. There is no dignity in this word. There is no calm. There is only urgency, raw, unfiltered, life-or-death urgency. And this word, this command, comes from the mouth of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the Creator of the universe, the one who calmed the storm with a word, who walked on water, who raised Lazarus from the tomb, who cast out legions of demons with a sentence. This is the most powerful being in existence, and his instruction to his followers at the most dangerous moment in human history is not stand and fight, not trust me to protect you in place, not pray and I will send angels. His instruction is run. That should stun you, because it tells you something about the nature of what is coming. If Jesus, who has all power in heaven and on earth, tells his people to flee rather than stand, then the danger that follows the abomination of desolation is of a kind that physical resistance cannot overcome. This is not a battle you win by fighting. This is a flood you survive by getting to higher ground. Now let me make sure you understand the geographic specificity of this command. Them which be in Judea. This is the region surrounding Jerusalem, the hills south and east of the city, the Judean wilderness, the area where the temple stands, the place where the abomination of desolation will physically occur. Jesus is speaking to the people who are closest to ground zero, the ones who will see it first, the ones who will hear the Antichrist's declaration echoing through the temple courts, the ones whose proximity to the event gives them the shortest window and the greatest danger. These people, believers living in or near Jerusalem during the tribulation, will witness the moment the Antichrist enters the holy place and declares himself God. And Jesus says, the instant you see it, don't process it, don't discuss it, don't call a meeting, don't wait for your analysis, don't check the news to see if other people are reacting. Flee immediately into the mountains. And the mountains are not a random destination. The Judean wilderness, the rugged, rocky, cave-riddled terrain east of Jerusalem descending toward the Dead Sea, has been a place of refuge for the persecuted throughout biblical history. David fled from Saul into those caves. The Maccabees launched their resistance from those hills. The Dead Sea community at Qumran lived in those mountains for generations, outside the reach of corrupt authorities. And early Jewish Christians, in one of the most remarkable fulfillments of Jesus' words in the pre-tribulation era, fled to those exact mountains when they saw the signs Jesus described. Let me tell you that story, because it's a historical proof of concept for this command. In 66 AD, the Jewish revolt against Rome began. By 68 AD, Roman armies under Cestius Gallus had surrounded Jerusalem. The siege was devastating, but then something unexpected happened. Cestius inexplicably withdrew his forces. The retreat was temporary, and everyone knew Rome would return with greater force. Most Jews celebrated the reprieve and stayed in the city. But the Jewish Christians in Jerusalem, the followers of Jesus who had been taught his words from Matthew 24, saw the withdrawal as their window. They remembered the command, and they fled. According to the early church historian Eusebius, the entire Christian community of Jerusalem relocated to a city called Pella, across the Jordan River, in the mountains, outside the reach of what was coming. And what came was catastrophic. In 70 AD, the Roman general Titus returned with 4 legions. He besieged Jerusalem for 5 months. The famine inside the walls was so severe that people ate leather, ate refuse. When the Romans finally breached the walls, they destroyed the city, leveled the temple. The Jewish historian Josephus described scenes of slaughter so horrific that Roman soldiers themselves were sickened. But the Christians who had fled to Pella survived, every one of them, because they had obeyed the command. They didn't wait for more information. They didn't stay to protect their homes. They didn't rationalize that the danger might pass. They saw the window. They remembered the words of Jesus, and they ran. That was a preview, a historical dress rehearsal for the command that will carry ultimate urgency during the tribulation. And the lesson of 70 AD is the same lesson Jesus teaches in Matthew 24. The ones who obey immediately survive. The ones who hesitate do not. Now I need to address the psychological barrier, because what Jesus is commanding is, from a human perspective, almost impossible. He's telling people to abandon their homes, to leave behind everything they own, to walk away from the life they've built, their furniture, their savings, their photographs, their sentimental possessions, their sense of stability, with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Think about what that means in practical terms. You've spent years building a life. You have a home with a mortgage you've been paying for a decade. You have a closet full of clothes. You have a refrigerator full of food. You have a safe with important documents. And Jesus says, leave it all. Now, don't go back inside. Don't grab your bag. Don't take your medication. Don't get your wallet. Don't secure your house. Don't lock the door. Just go. Every human instinct screams against this. The instinct to protect what you've built. The instinct to secure your resources. The instinct to gather information before making a decision. The instinct to believe that there must be time, that the danger can't be that immediate, that the situation can't be that binary, that surely there's a middle option between staying and fleeing with nothing. But Jesus, who knows the future with perfect clarity, says there is no middle option. The choice is binary. Stay and be trapped. Flee and survive. And the margin between the two is measured in minutes, not hours. This is why Jesus references Lot's wife later in Luke's account of this same teaching. Luke 17:31 through 33. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. Remember Lot's wife. She fled Sodom. She obeyed the command to leave. She was physically moving away from the judgment, but she looked back. Something in her, attachment, regret, longing for what she was leaving behind, pulled her attention backward, and she was destroyed, not by the fire that consumed the city, by her own hesitation, by the backward glance that revealed where her heart truly was. Jesus uses her as the permanent warning against the instinct that will kill more people than any weapon the Antichrist deploys. The instinct to look back, to go back, to hold on to the life you're leaving, to try to carry the old world into the new reality. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. The paradox of the tribulation. The people who try to save their comfortable life, who stay in the city, who maintain their participation in the system, who compromise their allegiance to preserve their standard of living, will lose everything. And the people who abandon everything, who flee with nothing, who choose obedience over comfort, who lose their old life completely, will preserve the only thing that matters: their soul, their allegiance, their eternity. And there's one more dimension to this command that I need you to see. Because when Jesus says, "Flee into the mountains," he is not just giving a geographic instruction. He is making a theological statement. He is telling his followers, your safety is not in the system. Your security is not in the city. Your provision is not in the infrastructure that the beast controls. Your refuge is in the wilderness, the place where God has always met his people when the world turned against them. Moses fled to the wilderness and met God at the burning bush. Elijah fled to the wilderness and was fed by ravens. David fled to the wilderness and was preserved from Saul. Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years and was sustained by manna from heaven. And in Revelation 12:6, the woman, often interpreted as the faithful remnant of Israel, flees into the wilderness to a place prepared by God, where she is supernaturally sustained for 1,260 days. Revelation 12:6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. A place prepared of God, in the wilderness, for 1,260 days, exactly 3.5 years, the duration of the Great Tribulation. God doesn't just tell his people to flee. He has already prepared their refuge. The mountains are not a last resort. They are a divine appointment, a destination prepared by the same God who prepared the ark for Noah, the cave for Elijah, and the cloud and pillar of fire for Israel. Jesus does not say, prepare. He says, run. But what he means is, run to the place I have already prepared for you. Because the God who tells you to abandon everything is the same God who has already provided everything you need, in the one place the beast system cannot reach. And the urgency of that command, the absolute, uncompromising, don't stop for anything urgency, is amplified in the verses that follow, because Jesus specifies just how fast this flight must be. Matthew 24:17 through 18. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. If you're on the roof, don't go back inside. If you're in the field, don't go home to get your clothes. Don't stop for your wallet. Don't stop for your phone. Don't stop for your emergency bag that you packed and stored in the closet for exactly this scenario. Don't stop for anything. That is extraordinary. Jesus is describing a situation so urgent, so compressed in its timeline, that stopping for even minutes, the time it takes to walk downstairs, grab a bag, and walk back out, could be the difference between escape and capture. The window is that narrow. The danger escalates that fast. Matthew 24:19 through 20. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Jesus acknowledges the human cost with compassion. Pregnant women, nursing mothers, people whose physical condition makes rapid flight difficult or impossible. He doesn't minimize the difficulty, he names it. And he says, pray. Pray that the timing of your flight doesn't coincide with conditions that make escape harder. Winter, when travel through mountainous terrain, is dangerous. The Sabbath, when gates in Jerusalem could historically be closed and movement restricted. This level of tactical detail from Jesus should stun you. He's not speaking in abstract theological terms. He's giving survival instructions. He's describing a specific geographic flight, a specific timeline, specific obstacles, and specific prayers to mitigate those obstacles. This is a commander briefing his people before a battle they cannot avoid. And the briefing boils down to one principle. In the first 24 hours, speed matters more than preparation.